Good Friday afternoon or evening, wherever you may be. Victor, we're back.
We're back. From where? Where did we go?
Well, I don't know.
I'm old. I forget. I don't even know what I did last week. I don't remember. Did we do the session last week?
We've missed 2 weeks.
We missed 2 weeks. Okay.
You were somewhere, and then you went to a conference.
Somewhere else.
I think.
Yeah, I was.
Berlin?
I googled something. Yeah, Berlin. Yeah.
Berlin.
Bad choice. Berlin in January, not good.
Especially in January.
Berlin is amazing. I love Berlin. Not in January.
In January. Anywhere in January.
No, I mean, there is the whole southern hemisphere that is absolutely fantastic.
Correct. But we're not there.
We're not there. I'll be in Florida next week. That should be better.
It's February. It'll be better. A little.
Small improvements, that's the agile
incremental
approach, right?
Right.
Incremental improvements, exactly. Because after Florida, I'm jumping down to Mexico, which will be also a bit better.
A bit better as well. Hi, by the way, if you're here and you've been here before, my name is Darren Pope. This over here is Victor Farsick, and we are the host of a podcast called DevOps Paradox. And on Fridays, usually, we do this show when we're around. And today is one of those days. Engen, good to see you. Thanks for joining us here live. TJ asked me that means DevOps Paradox Happy Hour. Yes. Victor has his Coke. I have my lime. Sadly, this is my last lime. This is it. They're all gone.
Until you go to the supermarket, you mean, right?
Yeah, and that's where my wife's going. In a moment, you'll hear the garage door start closing down. That's where she's going. So then I'll have more when she gets back. He actually has a question. Interested in the new adventure format. We'll talk about that at the end. Do you want to mention anything, or do you want to save that for the end?
Let's save it for the end, yeah.
Okay. And he's hoping I'll be... So here's going to be the problem. I'm not associated with any CNCF projects. And that's the rule. Right?
Okay.
Right. I mean, I might be involved, but not involved as... I don't know how y'all are going to do that. We'll talk more about that later.
We'll talk about it later, yeah.
Karen, good to see you as well.
Short answer is, I don't know either.
Okay, since we just take a look at the landscape and that will make sense. Since we've been gone for 3 weeks, two weekends, but we've had 3 weeks of news. We're just going to sort of jump into it because I got a lot of tools that we're going to talk about. So the 3 podcasts, if you haven't caught them, they were for the January 18th and then January 25th. And then this week's was talking to Noam from Granulate. My image picking skills aren't that great.
No. I can tell you that in advance. No,
they're bad. They're bad. But that's what it is. I do want to mention something here. This one 2 weeks ago was with Robert Cook, and his take on open source shouldn't be a thing was very interesting. If you haven't listened to this episode, I would recommend doing that. I don't know that I agree with him on everything, but I can understand and respect his take on things. But it's still to the point to where there's still open source somewhere. But his angle on it is a little bit different. And as a commercial vendor, I like how he's thinking.
Yeah.
Independently,
there is a difference when I don't agree with somebody because this is simply wrong. Kind of like, there is no discussion in my head. But with him, there were things I don't agree, but even though he has exceptionally valid points, right? And then that's a discussion. That's not anymore a fight, right?
Right. We're not getting into politics over this. It's like he stated his case well and then went on to, more deeply explain. It's like, I can buy that. I don't know that I completely agree, but I can appreciate it.
Makes sense.
It makes sense. And in certain respects, it's like, that makes too much sense. Especially when you're coming at it from being a commercial vendor. So anyway, all 3 of these were great, but that one to me was very interesting to talk about. Let's just get into the things that are happening. Engen, number 1, congratulations. You got called out in the Pulumi newsletter for your part 2. So I'm glad you're here live with us today. This is Engen's second part on using Secret Store CSI driver. with Pulumi. Now, I don't know. Yeah, you should be able to see it in the upper right-hand corner. You can see the little. You can't see my mouse, but look in the upper right-hand corner as I'm scrolling down. That thing's not moving a whole lot. The progress bar. This is a super long article. I don't know how you do it, Ingen. I do not know how you do it. This is. I mean, look at. This is a book by itself. It's not just a blog post.
Yeah.
You could do, Ingen, I'm talking to you right now. You could do a series of videos aligning to each of these points. And you could own this and leave us in the dust. I challenge you to do that. Okay. I've thrown the gauntlet out. But anyway, congratulations, Ingen. That was a good call out from there. A couple other quick news items. Noble9 got $15.8 million. If you haven't been watching like the raises that have been coming out recently, we were joking internally in my company. It was like 25 million here, 25 million there, 25 million here, 26 million here. I just saw another couple 25 millions come through this week. It's like it's the Oprah effect of 25 million. But Noble9 only got 15.8. Only got 15.8. We had Brian on from Noble9 back in, I think it was 173 or 178. I can't remember the exact number. So congrats on a good little Series C round there. This one shocked me. I don't know if you saw it or not. Mirantis bought Shipa.
Yeah, I saw it, and I've worked there before, so you have no idea how many questions I got about that purchase.
That's right. I forgot you had worked there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I did.
Very good. So anyway, congrats to everybody at Shipa. I saw this, and it was funny because your video this week was about FiberPlane, which I still haven't watched yet. But I saw this article. Right now, Dave's the VP of SRE at Twilio. He's been there for not super long. But he spent 17 years at what I would consider the heyday of Google, 2004 to 2021. I mean, maybe not sort of, but there's that 2004 to 2015 especially. And this is a great interview article. Ingen, you're quite welcome. And now you have work to do. We'll leave it there. I just thought this was a great article. And talking about on-call and whatever, and just the normal things of, for those of us that have worked this role before it was called SRE, when we were just operations people. This is a great overview. If you've never worked in this role, I think this is a great article for you to understand what could and should be expected.
Exactly. There's your wife going.
Yeah, okay, you heard it. Good. All right. I'm right above the garage bay where she's pulling out. So, good. The other thing that was interesting here, too, was he was somewhere between... Oh, he was at Elastic as well. Elastic Cloud. So he went from Google to Elastic to now Twilio. All three of those are large environments. Right? Those are not just little startups by any stretch of the imagination. Of the three, the smallest startup would be Elastic, if you think about it. So, oops, there we go. So anyway, if you haven't read this yet, I would recommend it. And Victor, I still haven't watched your FiberPlane video. I think I said that. We'll talk about that a little bit later too. I saw this, and we could have talked about it before on our last show. This is from Chick-fil-A. Now, for the people not in the States, you may not have heard Chick-fil-A. It's a fast casual, not even fast casual, it's just fast food chicken sandwiches and chicken strips and that kind of stuff. The last time they talked about their edge Kubernetes deployment, so what they have is they have a Kubernetes cluster running in every location. And the last time they talked about it was 5 years ago. Right? Here's what they go through the whole process of everything. They talk about smart equipment, fryers, grills, all the telemetry. Do you want to see what their cluster looks like?
Yeah. Big.
There it is. That's what's in every store.
Yeah. Yeah. Does that count as edge, right?
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. You've got, I don't know how many stores. I can't remember if they talk about it here, if they had the number or not. But they
I'm guessing that all those are connected to some global network.
Correct. So they're, Yeah, and so let me ask you this question because I've stared at this picture for quite a while, and you think about it, right? Because I worked in places to where you have to put things in locations, retail shops. I mean,
Yeah.
fast food is retail. If this is a Kubernetes cluster, how is Kubernetes installed on this to you? What do you think? Because they don't go into that detail. How would you do it?
Something like Talos or K3S, and I'm
Oh,
pretty sure
they do use K3S now, so they do go into that. But how would you configure it? Do you have the master running on all three and then worker node on all three?
I would probably try
would you
to
do?
figure out how to solve the latency issue and actually have those act as nodes only, connected to a big thingy.
For the control plane, you think?
Yeah, because I'm guessing that I would want to operate those from a central location, right? Not as
Yeah.
hundreds or thousands of separate clusters, but as a one big thing. Now, there are potential issues with that latency, what's or not, but
Yeah. So they are using K3S. They are using. Ingan called out. I believe they are using Flux. I thought I'd read that somewhere. Or actually, no. Back in 2018, there was not a great off-the-shelf solution for a GitOps agent. So they ended up writing their own that pulls a repo.
Okay.
Right? This was before Flux. This was before Argo. So I think they're still there. They also host their own GitHub instance in a cloud Kubernetes cluster. They tried to not do that, but licensing.
yeah. So it's probably actually that each of those is a cluster by itself.
Okay, so
I'm
here's the
guessing.
picture. Yeah, so there's the Nook.
Yeah. So each of those is a cluster, and then there is one cluster aside.
Yeah. So it's interesting, right? I mean, this is...
I'm always so impressed, right? Kind of when companies where you would not expect high tech end up with something like this. To me, that's very impressive, and also puts many companies that are supposed to be more vested in tech actually to shame. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. It's just, to me, the way they say cluster, I still think there's got to be a control plane there in some way, shape, or form. But maybe not. But it's...
because Kubernetes, how many locations they have, you said?
I don't know exactly. More than 1,000.
Yeah, kind of like 1,000. So we're talking about, let's say, 4,000 nodes in completely separate locations. That would be a latency issue for if
Just
that
in
would be all
general, yeah.
managed by, as nodes of a single cluster, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they had a small development team. So they pre-shipped and installed 3 Nooks into every restaurant chain-wide. Before the rollout. So all I had to do was configuration and verification, which sort of makes sense, right? You get as much done as you can, flip it on, do the final steps. And they already had the plan of, okay, how do we do this stuff? And then from there, that's a 2,500 active K3S cluster, so 2,500.
Nice, impressively nice.
I mean, this isn't as long as yours, but it's getting there. This is just a great case study, in my opinion.
Hey, I know the pain through which we went a long time ago. Just delivering something to a single customer would be a school bus full of us going somewhere for days and always missing the deadline and staying longer than we were supposed to stay and so on and so forth. And this seems like, I'm exaggerating now, but this seems like, hey, I'm going to send you 3 Nooks by mail. You just plug them into Power Grid and that's it. I mean, that's it. Probably there is a certain operations that you need to do, but I wouldn't be surprised that all the operations are done remotely.
Yeah. They do the sort of the wrap up here at the end. It took a lot of great engineering and smart trade-offs. True. Operating 2,500 plus clusters with a small team is hard work, but API first, just enough automation. Okay, it said it worked great for us. I think it would work great for pretty much everybody else. I think it's this part right here that people mess up. They go beyond the just enough.
Exactly. You go to the other side, overcomplicate.
Because that's what we do, right? Unfortunately. So link for everything is going to be down in the description later. I'll try to get it out earlier today after we're done. They said they're going to start posting some more. It's actually Chick-fil-A Tech on Medium. So Enterprise Restaurant Compute, you could search it that way too. A couple of other quick things. HashiCorp released their own new design system. You've heard of Material from Google, right? We know what GCP looks like. I'm just going to let that sit there. It's everywhere. Well, now, HashiCorp has now put their foot in that same game. So a new design system.
So here's a question. Let's do an experiment.
Okay.
This was, from what I know, and I know close to nothing, this was an internal tool that was used internally that was now open sourced. More than anything else, not necessarily commercial. Is there a link to the Git repo?
Is there a link to the Git repo? Let's see.
And in that Git repo, is there waypoint.yaml or whatever the format is?
Let's see. There's Git.
I don't know the answer. So I'm just...
GitHub workflows.
So, no waypoint.
Not in the repo that I see. Let's see.
Not eating your dog food or drinking your own champagne, to be politically correct.
I don't know. My dog has some pretty good dog food.
I'm exaggerating a bit, but I'm always very often I'm curious when I see somebody open sourcing whether actually that's done in a way how you should do it with your own products. Anyways,
I'm not going to throw him under the bus too hard on that.
No.
With it
It's great
being
that they
new,
open source it.
I mean, I think because they're still building out their cloud platform anyway, and the Waypoint stuff is still beta, I think, in cloud.
Yeah, it's new.
It's like
I wouldn't be surprised that actually Waypoint was created after they started working on this internally.
right, and now it's just a matter of once they consider Waypoint good enough, they'll probably switch it over. Now, along with Helios, they also announced Hermes. And this is the one that's more interesting to me because it's more back-end, but it's a content management system.
Oh.
And it supports Google Workspaces. So basically, once you log into Hermes, all the draft documents you create with Google Docs. That's genius.
Okay.
Right? I mean, okay, Markdown's easy enough for pretty much everybody. But Google Docs are easy for everyone. I mean, that's the big thing to me.
Yeah. And especially kind of those, I need to check it out. I haven't tried it, so I don't know whether it's great or not. But to me, that's especially interesting because that comes from a company that I always use as example for the company with the best documentation ever. Absolutely amazing docs. So they know what they're doing in that area.
Yep. So anyway, Helios and Hermes are two that came out this week from HashiCorp. And to stay in the theme of docs, there was a post this week from CNCF about our favorite website building tool, Hugo. And they were talking about Doxy as the theme, that lots of projects use Doxy. So I just put a link in here for this just because.
Nice.
I'll go ahead and ask you, when are you moving from WordPress to... Never mind. That's it.
I'm not in WordPress. I know I have the technology
are.
conversations. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But
Where I work, everybody is kind of into Notion thing. That's the thing now.
no.
I don't use it much, so I don't know whether it's good or bad. So I'm still on a markdown level.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Notion, the thing I liked about Notion, and this is, I think I've talked about it before, is that's how we manage all the podcast scheduling and management and all that kind of stuff. That's where, if I lose Notion right now, I'd be totally hosed. 'Cause that's where all the scheduling stuff happens. Anyway, I like it for that. Like, to me, Notion is the 2023 version of Microsoft Access. Because Excel only gets you so far, but Microsoft Access could get you that much further. You're ignoring me. That's fine. Helm Dashboard, finally got it.
I'm not ignoring you. I just have no opinion about those things. Because I'm still... I literally haven't written anything that is not in a repo in Markdown for a very, very long time.
I know. Helm Dashboard made it to 1.0. Yay.
Oh, nice. Commodore, go.
They had... I saw a post somewhere where they listed everything out that was specific to 1.0. I don't know if it was in the release notes or not. Yeah, sort of. It wasn't. The summary was much better. But there's actually some new features in 1.0 that clean up stuff. So if you haven't tried Helm Dashboard out yet, you should. So they finally made it to 1.0.
I want to call out the comment from Ari. SharePoint? Is that a thing?
Probably. SharePoint's a huge thing. Still.
I'm generally asking because I have no idea.
It's still a thing. Think about every enterprise. Are they running Linux on the desktop or Mac OS on the desktop? They're running Windows on the desktop. And what's the best thing for Windows? SharePoint. It's the best tool.
I had a couple of months of my career was dedicated to SharePoint implementation. I don't know even what I did at that time, but yeah.
No, it's still a big thing. Depending on who you listen to, Microsoft Teams is more highly used than Slack. I'll let that sit there. I'll let that sit.
Oh, yeah. But is that anyhow related? Is Teams related to SharePoint?
Teams is buried everywhere now, so.
Okay.
Fig scripts. I had not heard of Fig. This came out actually in November. There's a free and a paid version that goes along with it. But the thing that they announced this week was the scripts thing. And scripts is under Teams, so you have to pay for it if you want this feature. But what it allows you to do is to create scripts. So in this case, to where we're running a template, you put in a message, you say what branch it is, you say what type it is. And then with the script, it will give you the ability to do whatever automations you want to do from there. I haven't tried it out yet, but
I haven't either. Is this a replacement for a terminal or only secret something related?
Terminal. So this replaces your Bash and ZS, your RCs. It replaces your RCs.
Okay, I need to try it.
But see,
I'm looking for a terminal. Ever since I tried that, it became a huge thing. What's the name of the terminal that everybody raved about?
Oh my ZSH?
No. The terminal, not shell replacement. Anyways.
Oh, iTerm?
No. Anyways, there was some terminal that was big and promised to revolutionize how terminals work.
Oh, that
and
Rust
then I
thing.
installed it.
Yeah.
And then it asked, hey, allow permissions to send information to somebody else. I cannot imagine the good outcome of that.
Yeah. See, the thing for me, though, is because I am using ZSH. I don't know why I have a hard time saying that. I'm using the custom on that, and it's a lot easier to manage. So it'd be interesting to see what this is. But unfortunately, again, this part is under Teams, and it's 12 per user per month. And based on how I read it, you can't use scripts under the individual plan, which is free.
Okay.
Let's see if they've added it here yet or not.
But
Looking
my
for-
logic in those cases is always
Oh, you
the
can do
same.
up to 20. You can do up to 20 scripts in the individual.
I'm really interested in free option giving me sufficient value
Mm-hmm.
to switch to it. If it does, I'm more than open to pay for whatever additional features. But if the free option does not give me incentive alone to switch from something to that something, then I'm out. That's
Yeah.
my logic.
Okay, so anyway, that's Fig scripts. Where are we going? Okay, a bunch of little tools. Precloud, I thought this was interesting. Dynamic test for IAC. So you can run this is sort of like plan. But this, what it's doing is it's actually running plan for you and then telling you what's going to happen or not happen.
Okay, but you plan for what? Do I see?
You can do
Is it for
Terraform,
Terraform, okay.
Terraform or CDK.
Okay, nice. So what's the difference between that and Terraform plan?
The reason why you do this is, go down here.
Tests. Okay.
Right. So it compares resources in the diffs and plans against the current state.
Nice.
So now, unfortunately, I believe
You're
this
not going
was.
to let me rest this weekend, I see.
Well, I think I will because this was written in TypeScript, so you don't have to do anything. Sorry. Did I say that out loud? Anyway, precloud. ASH. This is from Amazon. So the Amazon samples or AWS samples repo. This is a wrapper around lots of things. We've seen tools like this before, right? So Git secrets.
Okay.
If you're doing Go, it covers SimGrep, Gripe, and Sift. You know, I can't remember the name of the other tool that we talked about. Actually, I think it was a few weeks ago. That wraps all these things. So it's nice having something to do all that for you, just one pass, instead of having to remember it all. But you know, that is called Ash. The line keeps going. Okay. I have a sequence of S-BOM things. Did you hear anything about S-BOM when you were in Berlin last week?
In Berlin, no. It turned out that everybody is interested in Angular more than anything else.
What? Is that
In
still
Berlin?
Yeah, I know it's Germany.
Yeah, that's still a thing. Yeah.
Germany, it's still a thing. Okay. Sorry to anybody that's in Germany if I just offended you.
No, but it's. I think that a lot of members of GD, Google Developer Experts, is Angular people, and then slightly less about machine learning, and then a few of us in cloud stuff.
Right. So this is called, what was the name of it? Oh, this is SBOMQs. So it's an SBOM quality score. And we can generate SBOMs all day long, but how good are they? So what this does is it will go through and give you a score of how good is the SBOM. That's what this
Very
is
cool.
right here.
And very needed because kind of everybody's now generating S-BOM, and then nobody knows what's the point in it, or what's the kind of, are you really capturing what you need to capture or not?
Right. So they breaking it down into categories. So minimum elements, quality, semantic, sharing, structural. So just taking a look at quality, it's like components have valid SPDX licenses, 7.7 through 10. Which I actually shot a video. We talked about add license, right? I think we did.
Yep.
Yeah, so I shot the video for that this week. It's coming out in a few weeks. And one of the things it does is it will add the SPDX header into the license, or add the SPDX identifier into the license header for you. So it's these kinds of things that what it is. And you get here, components have primary purpose defined, 0 out of 10. Right? So this is good. You know, is it perfect? Is it my rule set? No, but it's somebody's rule set, and they seem pretty sane to me just looking at them. So that's SBOMQs. You do have to already have created the SPDX files, or I think it covers the Cyclone file format too.
Yeah.
SPDX and Cyclone DX. So that's quality score. Now the second one is from eBay called the S-BOM Scorecard. Similar but different.
Okay.
So, and again, SPDX, Cyclone, and Sift is included for this one. And then it will tell you whether or not, if you've got something good or not. So it's a variation of this. Let's let this play out here real quick. So it does the thing, and then I wish I could pause this so that it's running the scorecard against the text file, and then it says 94% have licenses. So a different way to look at it. This is more simplified than the other one. So that's from eBay. And then jbom. Now this is actually old, which I had not heard
It's
of.
all bombs now. Okay.
It's jbom.
Okay.
It's all- but this is jbom. So do you think this has anything to do with Java?
I would guess.
It
No.
does. It does. All right. But they go at it a little bit differently. And this one I've been playing with some because that's where I live primarily. So good is static S-BOM, right? You're just scanning source, right? That's Sift. That's all, the tooling, that's what we get, right? We get the SPDX files. We get the Cyclone DX files. Better is we do a static on the binary, right? But best is we're actually looking at the runtime.
Exactly, because anything between, anything behind runtime, and I assume when you say runtime, when it's running, right?
Right.
That's the place. Or maybe just before it starts running, if you want to prevent it from running. But anything behind that is just collecting data, it's not validation.
Right. I mean, I know you never have, Victor, but I have imported things in and never used them. You've never done that.
Imported things and never use, of course. Even my silly demos have things that are unused.
Right.
I work a lot with Go, which is slightly easier because it literally removes imports from the code automatically.
Right.
When you don't use something, which can be very annoying. You delete a line and then because you wanted to move it somewhere else, import is gone.
I've tried this out against a couple of actual real runtimes that I use just in general. And for whatever reason, it doesn't pick up the PID, and actually then it gets weird and says, I can't find certain things. And I'm tracking down some people have bugs, but this hasn't been touched. This is the problem, is it hasn't been touched since last October. And prior to that, the last time it was touched, the README was updated. That was the thing I was like, well, crud. Well, the README was actually in January. But the last time they did some stuff was, it's one guy managing it, even though it's under Eclipse now. It used to be under somebody else, and it got moved to Eclipse.
That's why I'm very much in favor of certain foundations that actually most of them accepts projects only those that can prove that actually they have maintainers in plural, not one person band.
Yeah, that's the problem. But it's actually really easy to run. You just basically you run the jar file. It's Java, and it looks for all Java processes running locally, which was really nice. I mean, that part worked. The problem was when it tried to introspect on it, it didn't work. On the process, I haven't tried a ton of different ones, but the couple I did just didn't work. Now, it could have been because I was running JDK 17, but I saw other people were running it with JDK 17, so who knows. But you can do remotes. You can actually look at static. Again, just because you're running runtime, that's not the only thing it does. It will also do the standard static stuff too. So anyway, that's jbom if you're still in the Java world, like I am. Nauticus. I was scratching my head on this. So I'm going to read it and you listen. It's an open source, okay, good, Kubernetes controller that simplifies the management of clusters by allowing users to create and manage spaces within the cluster. A space is defined as a namespace that includes RBAC, network policies, quotas, and cloud provider specific bindings. Yay or boo?
I did not even understand what's going on.
Okay, good.
Space fully managed,
Right.
physical. Okay. I don't know.
Maybe. To me, what it is, it's a template, right? That's what it sounds like to me. Is you define all the things, you say, create that space, and now it's got all this stuff already done for you. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I'm confused because it says management of Kubernetes clusters, but then does something within a namespace. So I'm not sure whether it creates subclusters in a way, clusters within a cluster or some kind of isolation, separation. If it's doing that, then yay. I mean, in both cases, it's yay. I just need to understand what it really is.
Well, and it's super new, like hours, weeks ago type stuff. So it's highly unstable. So this may show up later. That's what I'm saying is just, if it turns out to be cool, you heard it here first. So it's Nauticus.
You continue impressing me how fast you catch things.
It's not hard, dude.
RSS?
Sounds like Capsule. It does sound a little bit like Capsule.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. git-sim. Okay, this is one of my favorites. So what this will do is it will simulate what you're getting ready to do in a branch or in whatever Git stuff you're doing. So you can say git-sim, merge, and then branch. So instead of saying git merge main, you say git-sim merge main.
Okay.
And it will
Nice.
generate this image for you. But cooler than that, it'll actually generate a video for you. That's why I liked it, because that's just a more interesting way of doing things. So I could see you using this if you were doing some fancy Git stuff, like for whatever, like to demonstrate what a bisect looks like. This would be interesting to see as it moves through time.
Exactly. Oh, I'm definitely not going to rest this weekend.
You're not going anywhere this weekend, right?
No, Monday.
Monday. Really? Again? Good grief.
Tampa, you know.
Oh, right. That is this week. Sorry. This is Python, by the way, but I'm not going to fault him for that. What you doing, bud? What you doing? Come here. You probably can't see him. Let's see. There's my pup. Okay.
Yeah,
enough
something
for that.
black in the
Yep.
corner.
Yep. He's bored. And do
Let him join then.
you want to join the live stream? Do you want to look at the live stream? He's turning his head. What? Okay, anyway, that's git-sim. We're really close to the bottom here. I didn't think we'd get through as fast. Okay, I know you don't talk Docker Compose anymore. But for those of us that still use it, some, now you could stand up Docker Compose and run
Okay.
crons. That's
Okay.
pretty nifty, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I could do the same thing with K3S or Kind, right? But to me, even Kind is a little bit heavy.
Yeah.
Ish, right? Whereas if all I need is something like this,
Yeah, it's a perfectly. I mean, I go harsh on Docker Compose, but when Kubernetes is too much of a complexity for your use case, and very often it is, then it's a great solution.
that takes us back to the Chick-fil-A thing earlier, the just enough.
Exactly.
Because this is the thing, if I'm running something on a cron, I could just have a binary and run it directly within the cron on a system. I could do that. But then what if I want to have an image that I want to run on Windows or a Mac or a Linux that's based on Intel?
And this specific example here, which just is using Nginx, but it can be replaced with many other things, is so horrible and yet so common and necessary that I cannot explain. When something is a horrible necessity.
That you have to restart it.
Yeah, restart something or reload or something like that.
Yeah. I thought it was a nifty, just enough tool.
Yeah.
So that's Docker Compose Scheduler. Okay, we're almost there. Copacetic. This one felt really bad to me until I realized some of the things that are going on right now in real life. So have you heard about the Git vulnerability, like in the past few weeks at all? The Git binary vulnerability? Yeah, there's a Git binary vulnerability that's out there.
Okay.
And the UBI images from Red Hat have not been patched for a few weeks. Now, it's an edge case to get to the point to where you would actually hit it, but all the scanners are saying, hey, this image, even if you're not using Git in your package, it's bundled in UBI, both 8 and 9. All the scanners are freaking out. It's like, hey, it was initially classed as a 10 out of 10, I think. And it's been downgraded to an 8.8 out of 10. I believe that's the number now. So that was the use case I thought about for this. It's like, can I patch just Git in this image? That's where this would come in.
Yeah, so, patching things at runtime is very often a necessity. Yet I'm very negative to it, not because it's something we shouldn't be doing, but because I cannot easily comprehend what are the negative effects of doing that. Because typically you have a lot of automation, one way or another, doesn't matter, GitOps, pipelines, this or that, right? And that creates conflicts, right? You can easily use this tool, whatever it's doing, to patch a bunch of things, and then it stays patched and you're happy. Or 5 seconds or 5 minutes later, it ends up being reverted because some other process was executed that actually undid your change. That my issue is unpredictability of patching at runtime.
I don't know that it's doing it at runtime as much as it's just giving you a new image.
If it's giving you a new image, then yeah.
I think. They talk about, here's the patch layer. Yeah, you get a new image. So there's a patch layer that goes in there, which sort of makes sense, right? On the left-hand side is the standard image. You do the updates, you get the diff, and then you get a new image on the right. I don't know. We'll see. Ingens, I doubt that they're using VHS on git-sim since it's Python. In fact, I know it's not because VHS is only Go.
Theoretically, that could still kind of output the file and then pass it through the VHS binary. With that, almost certainly not doing that. But.
No, I imagine they are doing... My guess is they're using FFmpeg because that's how life works when it comes to video. Where the heck is it? Here, let's look at MainPy. Import. I don't see it.
And anyways, they're not really outputting in that video terminal screen, but just concatenating a bunch of images, right?
That's all videos are.
Exactly.
You have 30 frames per second. You have 30 images in 1 second of video. Once you understand that, life goes a lot better. Okay, anyway, that is Copacetic. Or Copa is the CLI. But it uses it's based on BuildKit, which makes sense. Inspektor Gadget. Do you remember Inspektor Gadget?
Of course I do, man.
Do you remember the movie? Do you remember the movie?
No. I was old enough to watch Inspektor Gadget, but too old to watch the movie.
So this is much like the tool ASH, except here it's wrapping things for eBPF reasons. Did I catch your ear there?
Oh yeah.
It manages the packaging.
Now the keyword.
Managing packaging and deployment of eBPF programs in the cluster, including many based on BCC. So you get top level, advise, audit, profile, snapshot, top, trace. And it's just a plugin for kubectl.
Nice. Definitely not resting.
See, this is what happens when you go away for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
now, I have to
prepare
admit,
my talk for next week, which I cannot prepare when I land because I'm landing just before the talk. So,
I have to admit, having my Saturdays off from doing my normal Saturday work after this was really nice. Just saying. Do we need some ChatGPT? Yes, it's a ChatGPT bot for Kubernetes issues. You put it into, it's implemented using how do you say it? Robusta?
Robusta. I'm guessing, I don't know, but let's say Robusta, yeah.
So you install Robusta first, then you load in the playbook.
Okay.
And then you ask ChatGPT, you have to put in the tokens here, you have to have that. So instead of waiting around for Prometheus alert, you cause one, you get an error, and then you can ask ChatGPT about the alert. This is where, in theory, things would get interesting, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would go even further without asking. Imagine if you get a notification alert of something in Slack that is accompanied with response about that something from ChatGPT.
Well, the reason
No
why you
need to
might
even
not,
ask. Kind of like just include it in a way in notification.
but then at that point, your costs for ChatGPT could outweigh your hosting costs on AWS.
Oh, I was hoping that actually that's a cost that Robusta would swallow.
No, 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 no. Anyway. Technically, the project doesn't use ChatGPT. It's using the DaVinci model, which is what ChatGPT is based on-ish. So anyway.
But the whole Open API in all its variations is so impressive and amazing to me. But we are so early in that I have a serious concern about people blindly accepting the results. Doesn't matter whether that's writing a homework or doing something to Kubernetes, right? We are not there yet. It can only be taken as suggestion.
It's highly confident in its answers, whether they're correct or not.
Exactly. It's like speaking with an expert, and that's a great thing, but the problem, it's kind of like, it's so convincing that that's really true. And it's actually, I suggest anybody try ChatGPT on a subject that person really, really, really understands, and go a bit deeper in conversation, and you notice that starts being shaky.
Yeah, up until this week, it didn't know how to multiply numbers.
Impressive though.
This is from Robusta, so I was wrong. I didn't catch that at the beginning. So
yeah.
Okay, we're getting close to the end here. Docker Watch is collect and visualize Docker metrics from a container. Another open source project here. I haven't tried this one yet. I don't know where these people came from, so I can't speak to it a whole lot. If we view on GitHub, it's no releases. What? Anyway, table of contents, how to use it. Oh, you have to have Docker Desktop. That leaves both you and me out.
Yeah, and not only that, but when a setup is executing a curl curl command on some random
URL.
address, and that combined with having no releases gives me very bad vibe.
Yeah. It looks cool. It looks cool. But yeah, that's not a super good thing. Okay, we're talking about ChatGPT. There's this site called learnprompting.org. And it takes you through how to write prompts. This is the hard part for me. I'm working with one guy in the day job that is 30 years younger than me. And this is clicking to him just like that. It's like the way he told me today was treat it like you're talking to an intern. I went, I've never been in a place where I had an intern. I was the cheapest labor on there. I was like, I don't know how to talk to interns. So it's like I'm having to retrain my brain some. But this
you're supposed to talk with interns?
Well, okay, so his angle was it's like...
I'm kidding.
Okay, I don't know. Anyway, I thought this was good. So I'm looking at this, trying to understand, okay, how's the best way to sort of think and how to ask? Because I've never had time to ask questions. I just had to get work done. Does that sound familiar? Just get this done. Don't question it. Just do it. Okay. So you've had 3 videos since we've gone. The DevOps Tools 2023.
Yep.
Troubleshooting with Commodore. Hadn't you already done a Commodore video before?
Yeah, this is like a year and a change later.
It's been a while. This week was with FiberPlane.
Very interesting approach. I don't know if you've watched it.
I haven't watched it yet.
It's kind of... So here's the description. Imagine that when you're debugging something, you go and execute some queries, you go through logs, and you go through some metrics, maybe some traces. You do a certain number of steps. Now this is doing those same steps, but in a way that it stays recorded for posteriority, right? So it's almost like using your favorite tools to debug, troubleshoot things, but from Notion, and it stays there as a post-mortem document, give or take.
We've seen other tools like that before,
I
though.
haven't seen many. That's
No?
why I was kind of very relatively impressed.
Okay. All right. And again, the article that was towards the front of the show talking to Dave, who's now at Twilio, that's FiberPlane. So that's
Okay.
that was the tie together for that. And then what everybody else has been talking about is the video you did with Whitney and this whole adventure thing. So let's talk about that. Why don't you lay it out, and let me go back to the beginning in the chat and let me see. Let's put this up here. So, interested in the new format. So let's talk about the new format.
So it all started when I was young. It all started a while ago. Me and Whitney sat together and kind of, hey, let's do a talk in KubeCon together, right? What are we going to do? Let's do something around CNCF. Which project shall we choose? And eventually it led to the idea to do choose your own adventure style, like books. I don't know how many people read those types of books. So in a nutshell, it's you read a couple of pages and then it asks you a question kind of, hey, do you want to go east or west, or you want to slay the dragon type of stuff? No? And then each choice leads you to a different page. So we thought to do a talk on that and pick some projects, and then one thing led to another, and then we said, okay, we're going to use all CNCF projects, 200 plus, and combine them all in a way that anybody can go through all of them, or whichever they choose, in any way they like. So kind of like you can choose any of those X tools to build container image, any of those registries to store your container image, any of those tools to build to manage a database, and so on and so forth, right? So you choose the path through all CNCF projects, or all those that you choose to use. And here comes the tricky part. Everything needs to work. That means that all those projects, the code for and commands for all those projects need to be done in a way that any combination anybody chooses still produces success, which sounded like a fun idea, and over time proves to be extremely, extremely, extremely complicated. Every new project I add to the repo means that I very often need to go back to the top, go through all the paths to see whether that combination still works. And the more projects added, the more complex everything is. But anyways, choose your own adventure. We go through chapters, let's say, hey, building container image. Choose any of those. And then depending on people's choice, I will implement that choice in at the beginning of the next episode, and then we go to the next choice. But independently of what I implement live, people can go to the repo and choose any path they want and just follow the instructions and everything will work. That's the goal. Now, the tricky part is that I think that so far we put like 20 projects, give or take, with all the permutations. And since we started until now, 30 projects approximately entered CNCF. So projects are entering the foundation faster than we can handle. So I have no idea how we'll do it. No idea. I hope that after a couple of episodes, there will be a call to contributions or now. So if anybody wants to help out, please ping me or Whitney. Any help is appreciated.
As Ingan says, we all know the CNCF landscape is not an integration map. We know that. We know that. But do the people above us know that?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of my frustration is really that when you go to CNCF itself, you cannot answer simple questions like, which projects should I use to do X? Can I use to do X? what are the reasons to use one over the other? Not kind of what is better than the other, but what are the pros and cons? And then I make a choice based on my use case, right? I cannot do that really now, right? So we're hoping to answer those questions.
Okay. Where's the best place to ping you? In the Slack?
Twitter, vFarsix, Slack, LinkedIn. I'm hoping that one day somebody will send me a carrier pigeon. I haven't received messages that way ever. Opportunity. You can easily find me on Twitter, LinkedIn, Slack, CNCF Slack, my DevOps Toolkit 20 Slack, Kubernetes. Anywhere, I'm everywhere.
And that's vFarsix pretty much everywhere, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or open an issue in CNCF demo repo. Just Google CNCF-demo under vFarsix and open an issue there. That's an option as well.
Okay. Good. Well, we got through everything. Right before the top of the hour where you have to go to another meeting.
Yeah.
And I have to go write. Guess what I'm going to be recording next week?
What? What or where?
Basil. No. What? I'm not going anywhere. Basil.
I never jumped deep into Basil. I have to. I should.
I've got Basil and I've got Make next week.
Make.
Make.
Make. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going through my list of 300 plus videos. It's like, okay, Basil I could sort of buy that I hadn't done anything on. But Make? How did I not do Make by this point?
Yeah, and especially that Go, I have a feeling that Go made Make come back into the spotlight, right? Because there are probably other languages, but it's a default basically choice for doing stuff with Go, Make.
Yeah. Which is weird to
be honest,
me.
I haven't used Make for a long time, seriously, until I jumped into Go.
Again, most of my time has been in the Java space, so it's been Ant, and I fortunately went over Maven and went right to Gradle, and then went back to Maven.
So what's your choice now? Not necessity, choice.
My choice is Gradle, strangely enough, because I get tired of looking at XML. I just do. That's it. I mean, it's purely the XML stuff that's just annoying to me. I get it, and I can work my way through it, but like the Gradle files to me are just a little more. But then there's magic that happens there too. So
yeah,
it's just a trade-off.
Can you remind me? So Maven is XML, but what is Ant?
Ant is XML as well.
XML as well. Okay.
Yeah. It just wasn't as. How can I say this politely? Ant is more imperative, whereas Maven is more declarative. That's a very rough description.
Yeah, that's how I remember it. Yeah, exactly.
The good thing about Ant was you could follow it. The bad thing about Ant is you could follow it, and it could get just annoying at that point. I still
Gradle is everything.
Yeah, and that's the bad thing.
It's like, it's equivalent of Scala, something like that.
Yeah. Well, I started with Gradle before it went as far as it's gone now, so I still think of it simplistically. Just enough.
I remember back in my days that I really liked Gradle when I write it, but then I really hated it when I see other people's Gradle that can easily go crazy. I don't know whether that's still the case. Kind of like you can do some really crazy stuff in Gradle that nobody understands.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah. I mean, the sub-project stuff, and I mean, it's super powerful. Like sub-projects are like Maven modules, and I mean, the parallels are all there, but whatever. Okay. Anyway, we should be back. Wait, are you? No, we're not here next week, right?
Yeah.
Or are we here next week?
From sunny Florida.
You'll be from. Oh, that's right. You'll have a break on Friday afternoon.
So conference is Tuesday, Wednesday, I think.
Okay.
And then I have to be in Mexico on Monday, and then I thought, okay, I'm not traveling home and back because no.
So you're going to hang out in Florida for a couple of days and then go to Miami, or go to Mexico.
I have to do the airboat thingy.
Oh, right. So you can do that on the weekend.
I have to.
Eat some alligator too, if you've never had alligator.
I did.
Okay.
I did in Africa. I mean, not crocodile, which I
Oh yeah, crocodile.
which I assume it's the same thing.
It's a little more tender. It's a little. It's like chicken,
I tried,
right?
especially in in Africa. I tried all. We went to some restaurant, carnivoro is called.
Yeah.
Kind of. Every meat tastes like chicken. Every meat that you normally do not eat tastes like chicken. That's my conclusion.
Yeah. It's pretty true. Okay. All right. So we should be here next week. But Thursday, we do have an AMA next week, right?
Yeah. So Wednesday is the
Is
adventure.
your end. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm gonna bail from part of the conference to the adventure thing.
To do the adventure thing. Okay, so let's stack it up. So Monday you have your video on Toolkit.
Yes.
Tuesday we have
Nothing
at all. Wednesday is
Nothing.
podcast. Well, Wednesday is podcast and adventure.
The adventure.
Thursday's AMA,
Yes.
and then Friday we're back here.
Exactly.
Good. I'm glad somebody's got it straight.
I say exactly because I trust that you know what you said.
We'll see. Let's see if we stick to what I just said. So
We'll see,
somebody
we'll
rewind
see.
and see. All right. Anyway.
For all I know, it might end up that Wi-Fi, some terrible situation, and then we might actually do it from a cafe or something. Who knows?
Okay. Don't forget your gear. Do you have it packed?
Yes, but I'm gonna experiment and bring only my phone with microphones. So good
you have the
microphone.
Do you have the microphone?
Yeah,
The-
sure.
Okay. Yeah, the new
Sure,
one. Okay.
something. Actually, two. I have Sure something and DJI.
The clip
thingy.
thing.
Yeah, that's a
Th-
backup.
those aren't my favorite, but in a
I
pinch,
know.
I'd rather you have both. Let's just put it that way. All right, man. Well, everybody have a great weekend, and Victor, you have a fun time flying from wonderful Spain to nice sunny Florida. It's still going to be
sunnier in Mexico.
and then even sunnier in Mexico. That's hopefully true. Should be true.
So my strategy is that I go warmer, and by the time I actually have to come back home, maybe it will normalize here as well. That's my strategy.
Could be. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you again next week.